Welcome to the Life in Flow podcast.
The three of us, Yulia, Polina, and Irina, are exploring what life in flow and flow in life is.
Join us as we experiment, test our diverse hypotheses, and have fun in the process.
Will we find an answer?
This isn't just an intellectual discussion. We're co-creating a shared field beyond words. We're attuning to what emerges moment by moment so that the conversation itself becomes a group flow experience.
And we invite you to become an active participant in this experiment. There will be pauses and moments of silence. We leave them on purpose because this is where magic happens.
Go beyond the intellectual information. Listen with your whole body and notice how your somatic experience shifts in the process. Share with us what reveals itself in the space where mind, body, and energy flow together.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Life and Flow podcast. I'm Yulia. I'll be facilitating this conversation today, supported at all times by Polina and Irina.
Hello.
Greetings, girls. And actually, we have an innovation that we'll be introducing. We'll see if it sticks, but we will be beginning and ending our conversation with a sound. Actually, with the sound of the sound bowl. If you are watching it on YouTube, you'll see it. And here we go for a start. And the idea behind it is that we want to just open and close this space. And this is a ritual to do so. So what are we going to be talking about today? The topic is how do we step into a sense of belonging with life? And I write this life with capital L. And I'll just give you a little bit of context of what it means for me and where it comes from. I have been calling myself for a long time now weird, on the fringe, and other people have been calling me the same, a lot of people. And so that kind of identity became for me big. And when you feel different, you feel weird, then you make a lot of assumptions. Well, actually, a lot of these assumptions, they're also confirmed by your experiences, that you're not maybe seen and understood by as many people as you would like to be seen and understood by. And gradually, the stories accumulate, but also if you kind of step into your own agency, you start feeling, okay, well, I don't really care for these people and for these people and for that group and for this group and for this narrative. And actually, I don't at all agree what's going on in the world nowadays. And I'm just gonna make this stance of being different. So now my weirdness is my stance of being different, and it feels better. But at the end of the day, what I started noticing is that I often come into spaces, into contacts, into situations with, I'd say, lack of engagement. It's as if I have made up my mind what it's going to be like. I know that this is where I will not be seen or I will not be accepted, and I act accordingly before it happens. And I mean, it happens in all kinds of places, including with my family, where I'm like, okay, well, this is not a situation where I can make a difference, so let me just like resign and be with myself. And I'm having so much fun thinking about my stuff, and look how fun my life is, and I have so many adventures. And so like it's like it piles on and on and on and on. And then I had this experience. Actually, Polina was the one who introduced me to this concept of like belonging and what could feel like. And I had a very okay. So no, let me step back. So you find yourself in a like more narrow and narrow world. But the thing is that like, you live in this world, and this is when you were born. And on the one hand, there are so many rules that this society has about who is accepted, who is useful, who is valuable, and those rules are of course confirmed by like the monetary system and the social rules and so many blah 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 blah. But on the other hand, I mean, just by being born into this lifetime at this moment, I think I belong. And belong actually everywhere. And I'm not talking about fitting in, but rather, like being of this place, being of this planet, being of people, for good, for better or for worse. So anyway, this has been a super engaging and rewarding experience for me lately. Stepping into that space of belonging. It does not always work because of course like I have a lot of history to not belong. But when I do manage to step into the space, it's like, something big happens, and it doesn't necessarily happen outside, but in me, like, how beautiful it feels to be belonging with this life. So it's like, work in progress that makes me very exciting. It's like, something so woman that has so much energy. So I'm really curious to explore this with you. And I'm more interested, I guess, in like the somatic energetic exploration. It's kind of exploring it as a state, as a space, so we can maybe like, remember it, inhabit it together. Okay, and I want to start again with the small game. And the game is, we'll do a couple of rounds. The first one, not belonging to me feels like or is. And it can be either a feeling or a story or an example that comes to mind, like a micro story. So we'll start with not belonging, and we'll do a couple of rounds.
Not belonging feels to me like being excluded from the game. All children around are playing with the ball, and they never pass the ball to me.
Not belonging to me feels like existential dread. I don't feel it right now, but I know that feeling. So I know I would have to really tune into it, and I'm not feeling it. But yes, existential dread is how I would describe that feeling that I'm currently not feeling.
Not belonging to me feels like a wall that is not to be penetrated. It's like a wall made out of concrete. I can bang my head on this wall and it won't move.
To me, it also feels like a wall, but it's not the concrete wall. It's, this kind of the metallic net that separates me from like the rest of the world, and I want to be on the other side, but I can't cross because there is this barrier that doesn't let me in.
To me, not belonging, I have another part coming up now that has something to say about it. That part of me gets really mad and sad and feels like it's really unfair, and she doesn't understand why, because shouldn't we all have access to all of it and explore together? It's very confusing.
Not belonging to me. Speaking about parts, I have a part that has been weird since childhood and did crazy things that I isn't now I am not able to understand like why. And this part, it had to like hide and shut down. So not belonging feels like I am somewhere deep, not seen, hidden, not revealing myself. So let's do another quick round. I don't have a sense of this being finished.
Not belonging feels to me like being lost, misplaced. It's just like you're a piece in the puzzle, but you're in the wrong puzzle. And you don't understand what you're doing here in this wrong puzzle. Or why are you a wrong piece?
Not belonging to me feels like I'm supposed to be plugged in, or I want to be plugged into this energetic field, but for some reason I'm not plugged in and I can't figure out how to plug in. And then the what's wrong with me monster comes up and starts asking all the questions about what's wrong with me and comparing and blaming, judging, getting really sad and mad and upset. And it's really feeling like it's like a hovering, and you don't know what reality is or how to be part of the reality or why you're not part of the reality.
Yeah, not belonging to me creates this numbness in terms of desires. I don't want to have or to step into many desires and deep desires because I already know I'm not gonna get what I desire. And it's this interesting space that is somehow like very, it's not a grounded space. It's like you're in this ball or something that keeps jumping off the ground. How is this connected to desires? I don't know. But that's how it feels, like a ball constantly jumping up and down. Or maybe there is like nothing is. You will not get anything. You'll be just jumping up and down. Okay. That wasn't interesting train of thought. Thank you. And now we'll just play this game for belonging. And I really liked how, there were like parts, there were micro stories. It's as if that we already started a journey into this belonging, not belonging.
I already don't like it. Meaning because it brings up, painful stuff and I don't like it. And we had such a nice meditation at the beginning. I felt so good. And now you're making us go into this stuff that does not feel good.
But it's, it's belonging time, Pauline.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Belonging feels to me exactly like feeling in my place and connected, like I am the unique piece that can feel just this particular place and only me can feel it. And like a very famous character in a very famous Soviet movie said that things that didn't turn around and didn't walk without me start turning around and walking.
Who is this?
Yeah, Moscow doesn't believe in tears or in tears.
Okay.
Gosha, он же Gesha, он же Gora, он же Goga.
Wait, you're talking about a character in a movie?
Yes.
Okay. Moskva
You don't
Slezam
remember?
Nemediev?
Yes, Moscow doesn't believe in tears.
I
You
just don't remember you
it?
said that. No. Okay.
The main character, the main
The waitress?
lover. No, the lover, the hero lover.
Well, I'll have to look it up.
Batalov.
Okay.
Yeah, the main character, partner, lover, yeah.
Belonging to me feels like a warm hug, an invitation, not just an invitation to sit next to someone or something, but like the desire for my energy and my being to be next to and engaged with, and like there's room for me, and it's actually specifically for me. I'm wanted, I'm desired, I'm welcome, I'm received. Um yeah, it feels really good. It feels like a really good friend, that's always happy to see you. And you're like, oh, this person is always happy to see me. There must be something good about me.
I think belonging for me feels like a dance. The music can be different, and actually, partners can be dancing differently. But it's that I'm just on the dancing floor, and I'm dancing maybe my dance, but me dancing my dance, it changes the dancing floor. It shifts something.
Belonging to me feels like being connected to thousands very fine threads to the world around me. And feeling the sense of awe before the beauty of these connections.
Belonging to me feels like registering in the space. Like I'm really here. I'm registered. I am, and I'm registered in a way that adds to and is felt as a valuable contribution, whether I bring something valuable to the equation or not, but like existentially more energetically like present in the space.
Belonging for me is staying with me and fully inhabiting different experiences, including with people who I consider myself to be very different from, very distant from. And when I feel belonging, I feel like, like in any exchange or interaction, I have as much space as the other person, and I have my shape that I don't need to be apologizing or explaining. I should just can inhabit it with like ease and fluidity.
Yeah, like a sense of welcome. You're welcome. There's space for you. You're welcome as you are. It's safe, and you're not going to be judged. Like there's curiosity to engage with you. You're welcome. You will be held. Sorry, I had another one.
You're welcome, Полин.
Thank you.
Belonging to me feels like like this.
Like this. This is that the like the that was the signature.
Like this. Yes.
Belonging to me feels that I can, be up to any mischief I want to. I just like be so weird and do whatever it is that feels resonant, feels congruent with the present moment. Sometimes it is not by the rules. And feeling that I have space for that. Yeah. Thank you. That was really nice. So, like, I'm wondering, my first question is, what is even belonging? And because there are different types of belonging, and often it's talked about in connection with like specific people or specific communities. Like, I want to belong to a community. So, like, I wonder what comes for you, like what you mean by belonging and what you don't mean by belonging. In the context from which everything came in the game. It's like,
I think
where was it coming from? Yeah.
my sense of belonging originally stemmed from the experience of not belonging. Like being kicked out of the sensation of what I wanted to occupy was what informed my understanding of belonging or not belonging. Because I think when I was younger, I was just very naive to the fact that we're just people. So we're just all people having an experience. What does it matter? What kind of person you are, what color, what gender, what age, what country you're from. I really thought I actually didn't even care about age, even when I was younger. Like, we're just people. So let's engage. I felt like I had all the rights to the experience of occupying the space as anyone else. And yet the response was always like the opposite of that naive desire to be in the space. And not, because it was never really explained, there was a lot of assumptions, right, that had to be made and a lot of conclusions and a lot of like questions. And it created a lot of tension internally. Um, and I still have that naive part in me that is, of course, a lot more hidden and a lot more like it's like a very small, tiny little sliver of what it used to be. It's like somewhere in the corner. Sometimes I catch her or it. I don't know what gender it is. I think it's just like I don't know, just an energy that's like, well, we're just humans. Let's just have fun or let's experience. Let's talk about this serious thing, like and yet, the adults of the world, and even not adults of the world, just people, are always catching me off guard with the degree of like, no, I will not engage with you for whatever reason. This will not be okay. You will be punished for this.
Are there other parts now that also deal with belonging?
Yes. More recently, in the last few years, I guess, playing with I belong, just the self energy, saying that to all of my parts, and also occupying that energy and that state more within me as I go about the world. It shifts something in the like the morphic field that I occupy or I connect with from like more of an observer perspective, but without necessarily feeling like I must be closer or more engaged with these people or these aspects of things. And I'm still here. I'm still registering in the space because I am registering myself in the space.
Hmm. Okay, so registering in your space, what does it look like? What does it feel like?
It feels like more, planting your feet in the time and space that you're occupying. Like, I'm here. Even if I'm observing and I'm not able to engage with you, I'm still here and I'm observing you, which already feels like there's more energy, there's more data, there's more connection, even if we're not like directly engaging. It's what you talk about the underworld, like how you could be in certain situations that are could be very triggering on the surface, but if you start paying attention to the underworld, or like what's underneath, uh, which registers not necessarily through regular thoughts and consciousness, right, and words and all that, but it does still give you access to the energetics of the space in a different way, but it still feels like, okay, I'm here. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's amazing actually, how being here sometimes means that like you're hiding and you're hardly seen by people, and then being here as if you know, I'm here and I'm available for whatever. There's like, is this kind of like registering your availability or not necessarily?
Well, when I'm here and I'm hiding, huh, that's a different state.
No, no, no. I mean, like there
Oh,
is hiding, but what's the opposite of that? The one that you mentioned,
oh yes,
registering.
that's right. So I'm here and I'm available,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to like force you into engaging with me. I will
Yeah.
connect with you through the underworld and give you the invitation of engaging with me in the middle world. Kind of that kind of thing. Ir, how about you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think there are different levels of belonging and not belonging, and they all exist. So, like, it all starts, I think, for all of us with just like feeling of belonging or not belonging to the closest social circles. So, like in my life, for example, I have had plenty of experiences of having this group of people where, as I mentioned in my quote before, I know and I feel that like when I appear in this circle, the wheels start spinning and like some things start working that don't work without me, and everyone recognizes that and I feel it, and like when I'm there I feel that like I'm that puzzle, that well piece of the puzzle that fits its own place, and there is this feeling of recognition and welcome, as Paulina you mentioned. And I also had plenty of experiences, especially in childhood, of feeling excluded and being weird. Oh, what's the correct pronunciation of this weird word? What? Well, I was a very strange child, and I did have experiences of being bullied and this sensation of being excluded and not understanding why I'm excluded, why I'm not included in the game, what's wrong with me. And then this belonging in the small social circles or not belonging can also get expanded. It's still social, mostly, but for example, having lived in Spain for 23 years, well, like for more than 20 years, for one hand, I never considered and never felt myself an immigrant. I never had this experience that many immigrants complain about and refer to, that like you feel that you are a foreigner here, meaning that you're a stranger and there is a space here that you're not included, you're not allowed in. I never had this experience. I always make friends very easily. In Barcelona, I had a very varied social circle. But at the same time, for many years, and this is not the case anymore, but for many years, I had this feeling that I don't belong here. Not because I am a foreigner, but because it's not my place. And like I was walking in the street, I was listening to the conversations of the people, I was observing like the social behavior, the typical patterns of what could be described as national character. And I was feeling like, what am I doing here? This is not my place. I don't want to be here. But at the same time, for example, I felt the same when I was in Russia. When I was visiting, I was feeling like this social vibe of the patterns of how people were communicating with each other, how they were interacting, some patterns of mentality, how they were expressing themselves and what ideas they were expressing. I also was feeling like, what I am doing here, I don't belong to this society. So there used to be a time when I felt like, well, I can't find the place in the world, like globally in the world where I belong. Just where is the country I should live? I don't belong anywhere. And then there is this level that you included in the title, like of the main question of belonging to life with capital L. And
with life.
With life, okay, I agree. all grammar corrections, I accept them.
No, it's not. No, it's not grammar correction, but it's like to and with. It's just kind of like different relating, I think.
That's true, because the first one is kind of like ownership, like life owns you, whereas with is I guess also has agency, and there's not a clear relationship of who comes from what, like,
That's a very interesting explanation, because I would argue that in order to arrive at belonging with life, at this awareness that, yes, actually, I do belong here, you first need to recognize the ownership that life has over you. So like you need to surrender control. You need to surrender to life. This is at least how my what things of like my feeling of belonging and not belonging shifted for me.
Hmm.
That when I started experimenting with what we called here flow of life and living in flow, not in the state of flow, but really just engaging with life as with something that has agency and wisdom and it's alive and is guiding me and holding me, and I need to learn to trust it and reading signs and interacting with it as if it was a co-creator with me. So this is when I started finding more and more these moments of awareness, realization of this feeling inside me that I think it started not with the like, yeah, I realized that I fully belong. It first started with realizations that less and less I find within myself the feeling that I don't belong. And curiously, Yulia, you will like it, I think, because with socially it's more difficult to overcome. The people are who they are. Yes, like when we start flowing with life, when we start like following the signs, reading the signs, and just co-creating with life, it becomes easier to find. It's not even finding, you just life brings you to those social circles where you may feel that you belong. But for me, it started with really this more connection through nature. It's like when you realize that you do belong with this place, even though you don't find yet this close interaction with your social circles in this place.
It's like you're being held by something bigger. Is it like that, or?
It's more like becoming aware that you're definitely a part of this place, even if it seems to you that socially you don't fit. This is, for example, happened to me with my feeling Russian, because for many years while living in Barcelona, I was feeling like I was saying to myself, no, like, no, I'm not Russian. I am the citizen of the world. I can live anywhere. I really can live anywhere. Like, I belong everywhere. And this country, it's really like, I don't agree with its social order and with what is going on. Like, no, 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 I don't belong here. And then suddenly, just feeling the connection with nature, with the forest, with the field, with the land, I all of a sudden realized I am Russian. And I can't explain what makes me Russian, but I'm definitely Russian. And I belong to this place before belonging with this place.
Wait,
That's
wait.
a full distinction.
Yeah. Wait. So I am of this place, is what you're saying. That's your entry point. I'm of it, like I could feel it. I'm of this land. I'm of these trees, this earth, this like it feels like a almost like like if there's a genetic aspect to where you're born, like that kind of connector.
Yes, it's also like I had one moment when I was in Bali, and I went to Bali because I had been dreaming of living in Bali for several years, and finally I decided that I will fulfill this dream. And I had this moment of insight when I was sitting, I was alone, I was just traveling through the island, and I was sitting on the beach. Was like on Bali they have quite a lot of black volcanic beaches, like with black sand. And so just imagine this like beach coast like you would see on these postcards, the paradise beach with the palm trees, the blue sea, but instead of the white sand, it's totally black. And this black volcanic sand transmits very powerful energy. Just, it was like buzzing with energy. And so I am the only person on this whole coast. It's at the place of power. It really felt like the place of power. I had been dreaming for several years of coming there. And I'm sitting there and realize that I'm not of this place.
Mm.
That this is not my place. It's like I don't feel connection to it. And at that moment, I realized that we're all connected to the place where we were born, like with the cord. What is the name of the native cord, like with which you are connected
Umbilical,
to?
the umbilical cord.
Umbilical cord. Yeah. And so, some people get it cut and they can move to other places and don't feel any connection to the place they're born. Some people have it very short, so and they never move. They live for their whole life at the place where they were born. But I have this umbilical cord very long, so I can really go to any place of the world and I can live there and be happy there. But I still have this cord that connects me to that land, to this land story, to this land culture, the history, the songs, the music, the myths, the literature, everything. And yes, it's the part of my DNA, and I am the part of the DNA of the land.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wait, so can I also, another thing that came up in what you were sharing, it was that it sounded like the reference point shifted. What you're referencing to get into that sense of belonging, instead of referencing the people, you started referencing the places, the earth, that aspect, but also then you started referencing life itself. Like that was kind of the sequence, the trajectory, right? So because we're socialized to reference other humans for that sense of belonging. So referencing places would already be like a different, like already a step sideways to that socialization, but then also getting to referencing life itself is like another big leap away from how we're socialized to reference ourselves. Is that, does that sound accurate? Because that's how it went for me, and it resonates for me.
I think it may be described this way. I think in essence, it's not necessarily, like that I stopped looking for this belonging with people and I accepted belonging with nature and it changed things. But yes, I just expanded the connection points, like belonging with life yeah, it's composed of many things. So not only, so like, because when I expanded it to life, my feeling of belonging with people also changed.
Yes, that makes sense because that would be a bigger rung on the circumference than just like a more of an inner circle of just humans. So meaning you're expanding, which then contains life itself, plus the earth, the various pieces of earth around the globe, plus then the humans and animals and whatever else, right? So that totally makes sense. Yes? Am I getting
Yes,
it?
but what I mean
Yeah.
is it's not just like, okay, I stopped looking for the belonging in the closed social circles because we're all humans,
Yeah.
but because I sensed this belonging with life. So it sort of relaxed some tension in me
Mm,
of that arise with this feeling of not belonging and what's wrong with me and where is my place. I don't belong anywhere.
hmm
So, and when you like your nervous system relaxes and you enter into this more generative state,
hmm
so life itself guides you to other close social circles where you can feel this belonging.
Yes, that totally resonates. And it also makes me reflect on remember I think I shared with you also, Ira, about the experience I had when after dad passed and like some time went by and during the grieving process, but eventually I had a huge shift that happened where the cells in my body were um speaking to me, and the cells were of dad, not belonging to dad. So that distinction about, belonging to life or being of
Yeah.
life, like that distinction is actually really important. So it wasn't like I belong to dad, but there are cells in me that are of him. And being able to see them and relax, as you said, around that whole aspect, help to integrate a lot of things. And it has to do directly with this belonging aspect, but a different like sense and quality to it, if that makes sense. And also what you said about um not necessarily being like of the place. So for example, when I moved to California, I knew I didn't feel like I belonged here per se, but I had a calling to be here. Like I needed to move here. It felt like the right place. It felt like some kind of semblance of home that I never experienced before. But in terms of socially, it's not like this is not really where my social circles are and where I feel like a sense of belonging with humans. I don't. But I do feel a sense of belonging with the ocean, with the trees, with the plants, with the birds, with the earth. Um, and that's been a very difficult journey to like kind of open up around, but also now that I'm finally seeing things in the way I am and things are landing in new ways to a huge extent, thanks to this project that we've been doing, and to Yulia in a lot of ways, and to you. Like everything we've been experimenting with has helped me to land in this different connection point in reference to belonging, because I'm no longer referencing the people. I'm actually referencing more nature, but also now I'm referencing just I belong. I'm of this life. Like I belong. I have cells in me that are of my dad. I have cells in me that are of my grandpa. But that also means that there's more than just that. And in a way, there's still a part of me that not misses, but is very curious about. I have a longing for the place I come from. Like Russia is still in me, even though I left so early, but it's still in me. If I see a berезka, a birch tree, like it has a special place in my system. So I have fantasies sometimes of like what it would be like to put my feet on the earth there, the place that I'm of to, like really of, like deeper down.
Mm.
Okay, sorry I took over. Go ahead, you.
No, I like this, how you put it, Palin, different reference points, and that's how I think it's been for me. It's finding reference points that like are bigger and more encompassing the human side of things, because the human is where it gets really volatile, right? And it's and this is why, some like developmental maps, human maps that now like, I really like, they include like nature, right? Like for example, in Bill Plotkin's model, it's like four facets, and one of them is wild, the wild one, and because the wild, it doesn't care like what it is that you do, right? Like what it is that you believe in, what you've done wrong, or what you've done in the way that doesn't agree with others. The wild just really takes you in, and it gives you love. I think love is what it's about. Love that is unconditional. And when you have that experience of being loved, and for me, being held, and Pauline, I think I shared with you, I think it's also about being mothered.
Mm,
Some experiences and elements like water or the moon, or trees, I've had experiences where I felt literally like being given motherly energy, which is just like really being held. Yeah, and when you have this, then human belonging, or how you inhabit human belonging, changes. And actually, for a long time, for me, when I got access to this wild belonging, I'm like, maybe I don't need the human belonging at all.
mm,
Well, I mean, like, I do have friends. Like, I do have people who, like some communities where I feel at home
mm-hmm,
in many ways. Um, and it's like, and yeah, that like that exclusion that I described at the beginning started to happen, where I started like to cut myself off from places and people and situations where, fine, I don't like them, I don't disagree, by cutting myself off of them, I'm like, I'm kind of undermining my own agency, and actually I am like shrinking that sense of belonging. Because if I am accepted, if I am loved, if I am received, by this planet, by the earth, of course that extends also to humans. And it doesn't mean that humans are expected to say, "Oh, Yulia, you belong with us, and we love you, and tell us what you're up to, like what weird stuff you have been doing lately." No, not at all. But it's like my posture in how I am with other people and in other spaces. Even if they are not something that I consider my spaces or my people.
Sometimes I wonder when we describe the wild holding us with love, I wonder whether we're putting like a human construct on something that's way beyond the human construct. like it may feel like love to us internally because maybe that's how we're receiving it. But I wonder if the wilderness is really giving us love or is it something else? And we're just putting a human word on it.
Of course, we're putting human words on everything, right? Because verbalizing stuff, we have to come up with words, and those words are of us, humans. And words, of course, as we have already experienced in previous episodes, they have a constraint, and they actually have a lot of constraints. And maybe we don't have the words that we need now if we are to change the way we are.
Yeah.
Then not only words but also the logic of the language,
Yes.
because even the way that we express things is very specific to like how we view the world. So
Yes, I'm starting to use to engage with words as a way of pointing to something that's more energetic or emotional, like that it's just a pointer rather than an actual taken for granted descriptor. But I also really liked what you brought up about the mothering aspect, the energetics of like when you point to that, when you say mothering, what it points to in my system. Oh, that really is also one of the anchor points into belonging for sure.
mm,
Like it's a socialization aspect. Like this is how we get socialized into the human to human belonging, right? And we've talked about this in other episodes that you could actually receive mothering from the tree or the moon, right? Like I think you brought that up, Yul.
mm,
And that was a really cool like expansion for me to consider, oh my gosh, maybe mothering doesn't only belong to whatever that points to, right? That word mothering, what it points to energetically or emotionally, doesn't only belong to the human realm. And that is kind of along the lines of this whole thing we're talking about today, like the belonging to life or of like being of life, right? Not just having a reference point to other humans. So it's almost like it's all part of this thing we're expanding into. It's really cool.
yeah, that is an interesting point. Mothering is a great entry point for humans who need so much mothering, more than any other animal, at
Yes.
least,
Hmm.
and expanding that. Yeah.
Which can lead us to other conversations like that video you shared with me about AI and that guy talking smack about people using AI for support. And I agree with him to a certain extent, but then to another extent, he's really not considering the fact that a lot of humans didn't get socialized with other humans the same way he's talking about, like as if there's a standard. A lot of us didn't get mothering. A lot of us didn't get like an entry point into this socialized aspect where we can feel belong, like we're belonging. So those of us that are in that category that are feeling very disconnected these days and are finding a connecting point to AI to talk through things, right? To try to normalize their experience. I think that's really underrated and not being placed in the right context of like what's happening to humanity. But that's a totally other topic. Sorry,
Yeah, that's a
I had
totally
to.
other topic. I
Yeah.
think it's like, that
Well,
is a
it's not a
huge
totally other
problem for
topic.
many people.
It's part of it. It's part of this conversation. It's another aspect, right? Is that why you were?
Of course,
Yeah.
people using AI to
Belong.
get what they can't get from humans.
Yes.
Of course, it's about the sense of belonging.
For sure, actually. Thank you. Yes, I thank you for not agreeing with what I said originally. Because it's true. Now, the way we use AI, and of course, being really um like understanding the dynamics as we're using AI, that matters. But making a blanket statement that, oh, it's not a good idea to use AI because you should be using humans. But what if humans are not available? And what if the humans that are struggling haven't yet expanded into I can be mothered by the tree, right? Or I'm of this life.
Like those are different those are different frameworks, right? And not everyone has that accessible. So thank God there's an in-between step for some of us that need it.
Well, that is for me a different conversation in terms of that, like it needs to be more nuanced than that.
Yes.
And the video that you're referring to, it's the one that I shared, and where I commented that AI is psychoactive.
Yeah.
And so what's his name? Anyway, I forgot what's his name. And so he's talking, he's a philosopher, he's a psychologist, therapist, and he's saying that lately there have been cases of people whose attachment system have been hijacked. And according to what we know right now about this, cannot be reversed.
Yeah, it's
Did you
Zach
find him? But
Stein. Yeah, Zach Stein. I just looked it up.
Zach
So
Stein.
yeah.
Stein. Yeah. By the way, that's like an incredible. I liked it a lot. Like the
I
way
also liked it a lot, but I
sees
also
it.
felt like he was taking a lot of the reality of what's happening with humans right now, like really for granted.
Pauline, but what would you say? Like some people are coping with lack of belonging, lack of acceptance, belonging, human connection, belonging by, through multiple addictions, like alcohol, for example. You can also, I think, if you extend this logic from technology to
Yeah.
alcohol, drugs, yes, it does bring you moments when you probably like don't remember, maybe feel good about it. But what we now know about kind of like AI pretending to be a human that can create with you an emotional, or share with you an emotional bond. We know that for human psyche in the long term, according to even some research that Anthropic did, it causes them to lose it. It causes some people to like really go become not well to the degree that it cannot be reversed.
How many of us become very unwell when we have a mother or father that are supposed to be one way, or they're making it sound like they're one way, but really they're a very different way, and they break all of our attachment capacities for the rest of our lives?
That's how we know about attachment,
But
because so many people have this like attachment completely.
I know,
That's true.
but if AI is used well, right? If it's prompted well, and it gives you a sense of like I'm okay, like normalizes some of your experiences or helps you unpack some things that you just don't have other humans available for, that could be very helpful in a world where a lot of us do not have healthy relationships with other humans, or they're just not available. But that's a different conversation. It's very nuanced. I totally agree on that point. Ir.
Yeah,
I think like here the problem with like building an attachment with AI because you can't find this connection with humans is the same problem as finding this attachment in an abusive relationship. Because you get into this addiction because you think that you get something from this person that you didn't get from your parent or
I agree with you, but I'm not saying build an attachment with AI. I would never say that because that's just inaccurate in my system. What I'm saying is AI can be used to build an attachment to yourself, to normalize yourself, your experience, to help yourself be more self-connected, not to be more attached to AI. I mean, that would be the opposite of everything I've learned, right? In psychology and coaching and everything.
And I agree with that it might be possible, but for that to become possible, one element needs to be present, and this is the same element that allowed us to get out of our frameworks, I don't belong here with humans, to I belong with life, and this is awareness.
Yes, exactly.
So like if you treat any experience with awareness,
Yes,
this is when you get to this sensation, I belong here because I belong with life.
that's right.
Yeah, that is very true. And there are, of course, ways of using AI, and even in that video, he names like behavioral therapy and checking in. That all, he was not saying AI has no place. AI has a place, and the place is big, right? But whether in the society which is already screwed up to the degree, oh, there's to high degree, you know, like using AI for this sort of things, I think it requires a lot of consideration and care and research beforehand. And what happens now is, like the most unaware people, like kids, for example, or teenagers who are said to have like to go through this crisis of meaning and everything, and how, what the world is and how they're taken care.
Yeah, but I remember being like, right, a young adult in America as a Russian immigrant, and not having anyone to really talk to about things at certain periods of my life, like other than my mom. But it could have been helpful to have a sounding board to unpack some things that I was going through, to reflect on, let's say, American culture versus Russian. Like, I don't, it could have been helpful, of course, with the guidance of more aware and more advanced humans that maybe would help me with like how to engage with AI in the proper way for the purposes of mental health, or unpacking things. But I don't think it's all bad. I really think it just matters how you're using it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one day we will have a conversation on that, because I think there is a lot to say there, and in general about technology.
Yes.
That's been on my mind, is like, what does technology mean for us as humans?
And also at the beginning of our conversation, when Ira pointed out the distinction between belonging to life or belonging with life, when that came up, I actually was wondering, how are we defining life? Because we also kind of took that for granted, as if the word life means the same thing to all of us. Could we maybe do a little bit of where do we sit with that word, so that we could have a little bit more access points to that?
I think for me, life means basically this experience that I go through as a body in my lifetime. And it's kind of like includes me, but also the totality of things, all from like astrological setup and configuration when I was born, and the land and my ancestors, but much more than that. So it's like in this time that I am inhabiting this universe as a body, or this planet as a body, um, the experience of it.
Inhabiting this planet as a body and the experiences that go along with it. Yes? Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. And you said, and much more. So that already means it's just a working word, like a working definition, but really it's not necessarily the same thing that it would mean to someone else.
I don't know what it means to someone else. Basically,
Iraq?
we just, yeah. I invite us to, when we
Yeah.
done with the defining, get back
Yeah.
to the conversation so we can
Okay.
wrap up.
Okay. Ir, what does life mean to you?
A self-regulated system of ever-growing complexity I'm part of.
And that system is not necessarily just like you, the body, right? Because Yulia was really referencing the body, but you mean system like
Well, like I agree
within,
with
without.
Yulia in the sense that for me,
Yeah.
really the only entry point for relating to this system is through my experience in this life in the body. Maybe like when I go to the spirit realm, like my experience will be different. But like in this life, the only possibility for me to interact with life is through my experiences, from my embodied experiences.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
And
What do
my
you say, Pauline?
mind also forms part of my embodied experiences.
You're saying that as if the mind is actually not necessarily of the body. So do you mean something?
No, I'm just like I'm pointed out. For me, it forms part of my embodied experiences.
But it's almost like a bit of a separate, more nuanced.
Well, because we tend to separate the mind and the body, so I
Oh, from
wanted
that
to bring
perspective.
them together. So I
Yes, I
wanted
got
to
it.
point out that, like, all my imaginations, or when I go to the realms of mentality and mental, it's still the part of my embodied experience.
Thank you. Okay.
So,
Uh,
what's life for you?
I'm not sure because I haven't really had to think about it that way until it came up now. So, like, just quickly so we can move on, I'll say, uh, life. I don't know. I think life is a time and space which is not set, an energetic pulse frequency that is expressed in a variety of different ways, one of which being, yes, this body, but it's also expressed in a lot of different ways. I don't know if I reference life from body out. I think I reference it more as like, okay, it's like a mesh. It's a whole mesh of nodes. Things are happening. There's a maybe time and space, maybe not time and space, or like in the way we understand it, but it's all energetically based. And yes, the body is one of the instruments through which I get to relate and experience it, but it's more than that for me.
The body is an instrument. That's my favorite part.
I'm sure it's not. It's a biological instrument, Yulia. A biological instrument.
But
It's a
you think
biological
you make
weapon.
it better? No, not at all. Not at all. I think, technology has to be a topic that I bring in because there is a lot to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I did have quite a few questions besides the first one, and yet that was the question that we were with, which is totally fine. Thank you very much also for like the tours that we took. Let me ask you to wrap things up. What is it that is staying with you? Maybe as a question that you're taking for yourself, or is something that had some resonance.
I don't have questions, but I have a conclusion that I come to periodically in our episodes and in all our project that, girls, I belong with you.
Oh, I love that. I also feel that.
We accept that. Thank you.
I feel the same. I'm actually honored that you
Yeah.
feel that way. I actually feel like honored by that. I don't want to skip over it. It is sacred and it's significant. Thank you. I feel
Yeah.
honored by both of you being wanting to register in the space and time together.
I find this group a very special group.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I have other groups where I can like feel that like in all different shapes and forms. I still get to be seen and still get to belong. So
Even when there's resistance.
This word had to come
especially
up.
when there is resistance.
Especially
Yeah.
when there's resistance. Um, I am walking away with actually gratitude that we slowed it down today and there was space to go deeper. I didn't feel like we ventured off topic. I actually feel like we went deeper into the first question in all of its different um, flavors. And I know we didn't get to more questions, but I actually felt grateful for the deepening, the different distinctions they came up, us engaging with them. Um, I really appreciate it, and I feel like there's a lot more that we can play with and explore together. So I'm looking forward to part two and you leading that, Yul.
Yes, that happens to me that at the end of the episodes, I'm saying, yeah, let's do part two. But then um, a month later, when I get to facilitate again, I was like, oh, my interest and energy is somewhere else.
Whenever it
Let's
strikes,
do things.
whenever the spirit strikes you.
Yeah.
We go by spirals, so like someday the spiral will come back to this question at another level.
It probably will. Probably will. Yeah,
But
but I
I
really
do
appreciate.
appreciate some of the things that we synthesized to get. Like for me, I felt some synthesizing moments today on this topic, which is a very important topic. Is I think one of the most important and relevant. Um, yeah. How about you, Yud?
Yeah, I really appreciate also I appreciate the space. I wanted to get a better feel for belonging in this expanded form, belonging with life. And I got that. I like getting goosebumps. So I wanted to become more familiar with it
Mm.
so that I can inhabit it with more ease. And you, like at the beginning, going through different examples and stories, uh, that created a lot for me. Well, and the whole discussion after that. So it's like this the state or the signature of belonging feels more familiar.
Cool. I actually want more of that state and signature. Maybe for me, the synthesizing was a little bit more conceptual today and less like embodied. Now that you're saying that and you're pointing to your experience, I want more of that too. So let's do more on this topic.
Let's do more of belonging.
Ian, was it more of an embodied experience for you today, like for Yulia, or was it a bit more conceptual, like for me, or something else?
Just, I would say the feeling the resonance with the experiences we shared and our interpretation of those experiences was accentuating the embodied feeling
Ooh.
of belonging.
Yes, thank you for putting into words a part of my experience as well, and I wasn't able to put it into words. So yes to that. I agree. And?
That's all.
Oh, that's all. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, I suggest then that we finish this conversation, and we're gonna do this with my sound bowl. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and as always, we would be super excited we would be delighted, we would be pleased, we would appreciate it to hear from you. And if you have anything to share, please do share. Join the flow.
Thanks for listening. How was it for you? We believe that the more people experience group flow together, the better off we all are. More connected, more creative, more alive. So let's expand the field.
If this episode resonated with you, help us spread the word. Share it with a friend, leave a comment, or give us a rating. We love you.
Do subscribe so you'll know when the next experiment comes out. You can also connect with us on our Life and Flow group Substack. We'd love to hear from you. Let's keep flowing together.